I used to think there was a number. Not a specific one necessarily, but a number. Some amount in my accounts where the tight feeling in my chest when I checked my balance would finally just stop. I remember being 26, thinking $20,000 in savings would do it. Then it was $50,000. Then it was once the student loans are gone. Then it was 6 figures invested. I have more now than I would have believed possible at 26. And I'm going to be honest with you, the feeling didn't arrive. It just relocated to a bigger number. Here's what took me embarrassingly long to figure out. I wasn't chasing a number. I was chasing a feeling that was never actually attached to the number in the first place. And if you're earning well right now and still don't feel safe, you're not broken and you're not bad with money. You're running headfirst into one of the most well-documented, most predictable patterns in behavioral finance. Let's talk about why it happens and the specific thing that actually breaks it. My name is Joey, and on this channel, I want to teach you how to save, invest, use, and grow your money so you can have more freedom and retire earlier without depending on the government. Subscribe to the channel and like this video. Here's the reframe that changes everything about this problem. Your nervous system doesn't calibrate to a dollar amount. It calibrates to your most recent normal. Psychologists call the broader version of this hedonic adaptation. The well-known finding that people who win the lottery and people who become paraplegic both return to roughly their prior baseline happiness within about a year. Most people have heard that version applied to purchases. The new car stops feeling exciting. The bigger house stops feeling impressive. Almost nobody applies it to safety itself. But the exact same mechanism runs your sense of financial security. At $40,000 saved, $10,000 felt like a meaningful cushion. Once you have $40,000, your brain quietly reclassifies $10,000 as not much. Not because the math changed, but because your baseline moved and dragged the goalposts with it. This is why doubling your income rarely doubles how safe you feel. Your brain isn't measuring your account against some fixed objective danger line. It's measuring your account against whatever you got used to most recently. And most recently always wins. This is the mechanism behind the specific fear this channel exists to help you avoid. What I call the Dave tragedy. Working 40 years chasing a feeling of enough that kept receding one raise at a time, and retiring only to discover there's no version of more income that was ever going to deliver it, because it was never a math problem to begin with. The fix isn't earning your way out. It's interrupting the mechanism directly. Rule number 1. Write your enough number once, then stop updating it. The single most effective interruption to a moving baseline is a number that's explicitly... Rule number 2. Separate more income from more safety on purpose. These two numbers feel like they should move together. They usually don't, and the gap between them is exactly where the Dave tragedy lives. Track your savings rate, the percentage of income actually being saved and invested, completely separately from your income itself. Here's the pattern that catches almost every Henry at some point. Income goes from $90,000 to $180,000 over several years of promotions, and the savings rate stays flat at 8% the entire time, because every raise found a new, reasonable feeling expense to absorb it. Income doubled. Actual safety, the number that determines your crossover point, didn't move at all. If you only track income, this pattern is invisible. If you track savings rate as its own number, it's impossible to miss. Rule number 3. Give new money a job before it arrives. The moving baseline wins by default whenever new money shows up with no assignment. It flows to whatever felt like the next reasonable upgrade, quietly, before you consciously decided anything. The fix is deciding the job in advance, before the raise or bonus lands. A simple version that works well for most Henrys: commit that at least 50% of every future raise goes directly into investing, automated the same pay period it takes effect, before your monthly budget has a chance to absorb it into a new normal. You still get to enjoy the other half. This isn't about denying yourself the win. It's about making sure the baseline resetting instinct doesn't get 100% of every raise by default. which is what happens to almost everyone who doesn't decide otherwise on purpose. Rule number 5. Track the freedom number, not the more number. More has no finish line by design. There's always a bigger house, a nicer car, a higher title. Freedom does have a finish line, and it's the one number this channel keeps coming back to, the crossover point, the month your investment income permanently exceeds your living expenses. That's a specific, calculable date, not a feeling that recedes as you approach it. Calculate yours directly. Take your current invested assets, your monthly contribution, and your actual expenses, and project forward the month the math crosses over. For a lot of Henrys contributing seriously, that date is 12 to 18 years out, not 40. Checking progress against that specific date does something checking your account balance alone doesn't. It turns an abstract, ever-receding feeling into a concrete countdown that gets shorter every single month, which is a completely different psychological experience than watching a balance that never feels like enough. Rule number 6. Build a quarterly proof file. Feelings drift gradually enough that you won't notice the goalposts moving in real time. You need an external record to catch it. Once a quarter, write down 3 things in one place: your net worth, your savings rate, and one sentence about what would need to be true for you to feel safe right now. Read back your answer from a year ago before writing the new one. Almost everyone doing this exercise honestly finds the same pattern. The net worth went up, and the definition of safe went up right along with it, dollar for dollar, leaving the actual gap exactly where it started. Seeing that pattern in your own handwriting across real quarters is far more convincing than hearing it described in a video. It's the moment the moving baseline problem stops being an abstract concept and starts being a documented fact about your own year. Rule number 7. Run the 1 year ago test on your spending. Once a year, pull up your actual spending from exactly 12 months ago and compare it, category by category, to today. Not your memory of last year, the real numbers. This catches the specific version of baseline drift that shows up as reasonable upgrades: a subscription tier, a grocery budget, a car payment. Each individually justifiable, collectively a lifestyle that quietly cost more to maintain without ever making a single deliberate decision to spend more. This week, write your fixed enough number, 25 times your annual expenses, on paper, dated today. Pull your spending from exactly 1 year ago and compare it to your last full month. This month, set up the automatic rule that at least half of any future raise or bonus routes directly into investing before it hits checking. Calculate your actual crossover date using your current numbers, not a guess. This quarter, do the proof file exercise: net worth, savings rate, and your one-sentence definition of safe, and file it somewhere you'll actually find it again in 3 months. The value of this step compounds the same way money does. It's close to useless the first time and genuinely revealing by the 4th. Set a recurring calendar reminder now, because "I'll remember to do this" is exactly the kind of intention that quietly disappears the same way the baseline does. Back to 26-year-old me, waiting for the number that would make the tight feeling stop. Here's what I tell him now. The feeling was never going to arrive by accident, no matter how high the balance climbed, because the balance was never the thing generating it. The tight feeling was a moving baseline with no fixed target, and a moving baseline can't be outrun by more income, only interrupted by a fixed number you refuse to let drift. I still check my balance sometimes and feel that old flicker. The difference now is I also check the fixed number I wrote down, the one that doesn't quietly update itself every time I do well. That second number is the one that actually tells me the truth. Subscribe to the channel. Every week I break down the math and the psychology behind money, including the parts that never show up on a balance sheet. Next video, how to calculate your exact crossover date, step by step with your own real numbers. I'll see you there.